But why the name Auger? What does it represent? I think that might give us an insight in what the company is and what it does.
Well, if you think about the big challenge in supply chain is really trying to connect all of this disconnected data together to make it reason together, to create a layer of contextualization and understanding. And to do that, you really have to have both the technology and the knowledge to drill down into an organization, to drill into the process of how they work, to enable that. And so Auger fit a lot of things that we really liked and had some meaning behind it as well for how to think about it. Also, supply chain's a contact sport. Like, this is not the world wakes up every day trying to wreak havoc on supply chain planners around the world, and so we thought it was a framing that sort of represented the grit and determination and sort of just grind through it that represents operators around the world.
We're showing video of how the software, the platform works. We know you from your time at Amazon, right? And your experience of global supply chains. You had a brief tenure at Flexport, and maybe we'll get into that another time. But I don't know you as a software guy. How did you build this platform? What are the people behind the core competency here, please?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about, Amazon is in many ways a supply chain technology company at its core. My team had thousands of software developers, the last mile technology teams, the robotics teams, the inventory forecasting, ML neural network teams. But the unifying bit of the whole group is people incredibly passionate about customers, incredibly curious about the technology that's coming out in the world, and incredibly fast at delivering output for the people we're working for.
It's an agentic technology that's going to drive us forward in many ways, Dave. But what's so interesting is I see the retail benefits. I see the e-commerce lived experience, and I can see what's happening with Meta and Fanatics. But how does this expand? Supply chains is something we talk about in every type of industry right now, and particularly in a national security context.
Well, agentics is the subject of so much of the conversation. The way you make agentics work is through context. Context is king, and our core platform is really about context enablement across large global enterprise data sets, unifying thousands of tables into one operable platform of data that agents can actually then work with for autonomy. And so that's extensible in all aspects of the world. Where our early customers today are focused more in the consumer space, but we're also partnering, looking at working with governments to enable process flow. You can imagine the kind of work that needs to be done to connect sovereigns, not just companies, and we think that's a big expansion area for us as we move forward in the next months ahead.
Okay, that's cool. This is really cool. I think I don't really know. Some of these guys are way smarter than I am. That's Silicon Valley. There's a whole level of capital there that's plugging into this. There's a reason why they're doing it. I think they've picked a good niche to disrupt with AI. I think their play, though, she asked her at the end, kind of a good question, is essentially, why wouldn't somebody just keep up with these large language models, Claude, for example, OpenAI or Gemini and all these other ones? Why don't you just train them, give them context to what you're trying to do, give them the data and use it that way? Well, he answered well in that, but I also think he's trying to race against time potentially, because I bet he builds this and I bet they sell to a Gemini, they sell to a Claude or a OpenAI or a Grok or whoever would want to buy them, because they're essentially building a database, they're building customers, and they're building a language model that they can plug into any of those large language models there. So I think it's really potentially, I don't know the strategy, to be honest with you. That's where my head goes with that. Because yeah, she's right. Once AI, then you have AGI, then you have ASI, super intelligence. It doesn't matter what tool you have. It's going to be smart enough to give it context. It's going to know everything you need to do. It's going to solve these same problems that Auger is doing. Very cool. I like it. I love it. I really do. I do think their potential play is to build into supply chain with those big contracts that you talked about with governments and other things you can get. And then they can take that and go IPO or sell it to the highest bidder. That's a large language model of Google or Apple or whoever would buy that, Grok or whoever would want to buy something like that. It's pretty massive. That's a pretty big play. It's extremely influential. I bet Auger is successful. I really do. They raised $100 million in the Series A. I think they're going to do well.